Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
In Workday, when you talk about security, there are two kinds of policies we have. One is domain security policy. The other one is business process security policy. What does this to do? The domain security policy and business process security policy. Domain security policy allows you to view or modify something in Workday. It will give you permissions to you to view something in Workday or to modify something in Workday. With that, you can perform that. You can see domain security policy allows you to what you need to do in Workday. Whether you access data or to view the data or to modify that, let's say personal information is there. Personal information. What are the personal information attributes? A personal mobile number, email address, home address, contact address, contact information. Now when you say personal information as a kind of HR admin, you will be having complete access. But as a kind of HR auditor, HR partner will be having some restrictions. Now I'm a kind of Workday developer. I'm creating a report. I'm creating a report that has to return all the personal information of an employee. Now I'm getting all the personal information. One is employee contact address. I'm getting employee email address. I'm getting employee home address. I'm getting an employee mobile number. I'm not getting. Now I'm able to get every attribute of personal information of an employee, but I'm not getting employee mobile number in my report. Here you see I don't have access to personal data domain with the mobile number section. I have access to email address, but I don't have access to mobile number, which is a kind of a domain that does not have access to my user-based security group. Which means that I don't have access to view employee personal mobile number because that domain is not enabled for my security that has granted to me. Domain security policy allows you to view something that you wanted to view in Workday or allows you to modify something. Let's say we are a HR admin. HR admin. What is responsible for HR admin? If employee updates, saying that my contact address has got changed. I need to update that in Workday. What HR admin will do, will edit the existing Workday address and will make changes to that one, which means that HR admin have access to modify the personal information of an employee, which means that domain security policy allows you to view or to modify something that you have in Workday. If you grant any domain that I'll show you, then what are the domains that are available in learning? Probably we'll get to know what each domain will do. I'm trying to explain you how we know domain security policy describes in terms of functionality in Workday. Basically, what you see in Workday, what you view in Workday is completely based on the domain security policy that is assigned to you. And coming to business process security policy. Business process security policy allows you to perform transactions like approve, resign, correct the transactions. Let's say you're a blade leave. You're playing time off for a few days and the request goes to your manager. What your manager has to do has to take an action. Your manager has to either approve it or deny it. Or if there are any corrections. If you're sending for 5 days, your manager feels that 5 days will not work. You can just take 3 days and we can work for other 2 additional days. He'll be sending back, which is nothing but resign. Resign, action is something about business process. Correct? Correct is nothing but correcting the business process. Let's say if you have sent, time off for 5 days. And again, if you feel that 5 days will not be worth it. If you wanted to extend for 10 days. What you'll do? You'll ask the Workday support team, or if your generally employees will not have access to correct the business process. You will reach out to a development team or support team asking them, hey, I've submitted a time off for 5 days, but I got an approval to take a week or 2 weeks. I wanted to correct my existing request that allows me to submit 10 days of leave in the existing request. What support they will do? They'll edit your existing request and they correct that one. Instead of 5 days, they'll make it 10 days. Business process security policy is nothing but which allows you to approve, resign, correct, to perform all the business process transactions. I kind of in a routing transactions. Business process allow you what to approve, what to initiate, what to resign, what to correct, kind of access. You know what the business process security policy gives you. Let's say if you wanted to apply time off in the sense of what do you do? Now you see I have enter time off. I have an option of taking the time off. Let's say for this employee, if I want to mark 30 West and 27, 28, the kind of leave. I'll take an F leave type. That's not. Shouldn't it calculate when you select a date? What is that? The number of days, daily quantity or something. What is it? They have selected daily quantity of good 5. When you have selected 5 days, shouldn't it automatically show that it is 5 days? You have already selected 5. If I have selected the 6 days and if I'm giving 5 days, it will error out. If I've selected 5 days here and if I give 5 days, system will accept. Total how many days that I've taken here? I've selected for 5 days, I believe. If we click on, and by time off is not allowed for and only to the annual request exceeds my own. There is some. The reason why I'm showing is and enter time off. As an employee is able to access time off task and is able to submit time off because employee has an action to take employee has an access to perform time off transactions. Which means that employee is provided with the access of a performing time off transaction and submit the request, which will further go for manager and manage. It will be taking accordingly. Now, if we restrict employee should not, if there is a policy that employee should not request time off, employee should inform manager and manager has to enter time off on behalf of employee. That kind of policies there in the organization. What do you do? What do you do? You remove access to employee for a time off, a business process, and you'll give to manager. That is the only thing, that is this business process security policy based on that. Business process. Security policy is nothing but which give permissions who can perform what, who can approve what, who can resign what, who can correct, who can initiate what kind of transactions. Business process will be taking care and domain security policy will allow you to view something in Workday, access something in Work and modify something in Workday. And now we'll see some things, some domains related to Workday. When you start implementing the Workday learning, there are without performing those kinds of configurations, you'll be not able to access anything related to learning or access any domains related to learning. There is a first point in our first starting point that you need to do when you start implementing Workday. There is a task called maintain functional area. Any of the model, not only what they're learning, but if you're implementing recruiting, if you're implementing the benefits, if you're implementing payroll. This is the starting point to enable that particular module in tenant. Here is where we enable the tenant. Enable module. Enable the module. Learning core. We'll be selecting this now. It should have been enabled. But when you start implementing Workday, it will be disabled. What are you doing? Enable this one and make sure that all these domains, whatever you're seeing here, all these domains are available for you to access. But if you're not enabling this one, and if you try to access these domains, you'll be not able to find this. You need to enable this in a module, and then you should be able to access all the domains related to learning in Workday. And apart from what they learn learning code, there are in a few more domains that will support learning when you're implementing. One is learning core. Learning core is a primary thing. If you wanted to have your learning, what the learning to be in the tenant. The first point is you need to check this checkbox and enable to access learning data in the tenant. The other one is it's an optional based on your requirement. Customer accounts. Customer accounts is nothing but it takes care of something related to expense, something related to invoicing, which is financial data. But how it relates to what they're learning is, instead of, you remember I was saying, whenever you're creating course, if the course has to be associated with cost and external trainings, which has to be associated with cost, and some additional approvals may be needed to kind of they know topic I was discussing. For cost related courses, if you wanted to associate any cost to the particular course, which means that a cost is nothing but a kind of financial term. When you're using financial thing, there has to be a kind of invoice. Invoice is nothing but bill. When you're costing something on a course, there must be invoice. There must be invoice, and where your organization finance team has to approve that budget. You need to enable that customer account. If you're dealing with cost related courses, if you don't have any requirement to use cost associated coaches, then no need of thinking of this one. You can just go with the learning code. But if there is any way that your external trainings or external, I know instructor led trainings will be requiring some kind of cost, then there has to be a kind of invoice that allow finance team to approve that invoice. In order to have that kind of actions or that kind of opportunities in what the learning, you need to enable customer accounts, functional area that you should be able to create, courses that should be associated with cost. When you're implementing learning, these are the two things. You know that you will be doing based on your organization requirement, but the mandatory thing is learning. Core is a kind of mandatory thing which will be doing, which you enable that to your tenant, and you should be able to access all the related domains in Workday Learning. Any questions? No, not as of now. We'll see few domains that are used in Workday related to the learning. The first domain that comes into the Workday learning is, let me know what exactly is it domain. What the same domain is nothing but domain security policy. Both are same. Domains are granted to security groups. You will be attaching domains to the security group. Learning domains will become show and the these are mostly used domains that we have in Workday, and we'll go one by one. To access domain in Workday domain colon, what I understand in Workday is everything is a searchable thing. Everything, whatever you want, you can search. But how do you remember what is the exact task or whatever you are searching? Because in SuccessFactors, everything is a menu and you can select from there. But everything has to be searched means you have to remember everything that. What do you want to search? Whatever you wanted to perform in Workday is completely a kind of task based in Workday. You need to access that particular task in Workday. Let's say if you wanted to create a report. You don't know what task is there for creating a report on. You just entered. There are kind of tasks that you'll be getting, in which you'll be saving, or if you wanted to know what are the commands that has to be used for that particular task, just enter. Based on experience, you'll be getting. But for your information, I'm sharing this question. Tag, hit enter. You have kind of prefixes that you can use. These are all the prefix words you can use to access that particular task in Workday. Let's see, if you wanted to access calculate it for you, you'll be using CF. If you wanted to use BP, you'll be using business process definition. You'll use B. And if you wanted to access any candidate information, you'll use can kind of prefix. Like that, there are around a lot of prefixes. You know that you can get it from this list, and you can accordingly use whatever you want. If you wanted to find custom report data source, we'll be using this one. Similarly related to learning, in it, if you have 10 taxes, what you can do is you can go here and extract this one, and probably you'll be able to find something related to learning also. These are all the prefixes that we have in Workday, which allows you to access something in from search bar. If you wanted to have something related to learning content, you'll be using LRN. If you wanted to get location, you do this one. These are all the prefixes which returns that particular data from Workday from the search bar. Probably you can based on experience. You'll be getting a lot of wording on that one. How do we remember task? How we need to know what needs to be entered is from search bar. No need of the. Based on the hands on that you'll be getting, based on the experience that you gain, you'll be getting that information. And basically we'll be also having and one more thing. What I have found is where do I find job aids? Where do I find a suitable documentation or videos? I check the community, but it's not really helpful. Everything, you have to ask questions, you have to raise brainstorms. There's no proper documentation. For which one you're saying? I mean, now if I want to see some knowledge-based articles on performing a particular thing, there's nothing like that. If you're talking something specific to learning, when you go for learning, training, will be a document that they'll be providing, a kind of training document where you'll be having a step-by-step process of performing each and every activity in learning. And if you wanted to basically know the Workday in navigations, how to get into navigation, how to find something in Workday, how to enter the search criteria from the search bar, all these things you have free tutorials in community. You can get into that community and you can find a free tutorials like basic navigations kind of tutorials. You'll be finding a lot of videos. 2 to 3 minutes of videos will be there. You can click on that one. You'll be able to know how to access data in Workday kind of navigations. Whatever I'm telling you now, the same thing is we seeing in a video. Now, for example, how to set up a business process or something like that. If I want to see some knowledge-based article, I can't. There's nothing you can search. And we have to search question and answer the question data, or you have to question and you have to get answers if you're lucky. Those are all very basic questions. If you're wanting to create a business process, let's say an example learning. When they're implementing learning, you'll have to create all the business process related to learning. Now what? As I said, I remember a business process. We can only create something. What does provide it? But we cannot create new business process as per our own requirement. Whatever it is, assigned a business process for customer. You can just create. There is a task called create business process. The create business process definition is a task here. If you go into the task, you'll be having list of business process that Workday has provided. These are all the business process that Workday has provided. Most learning related, everything would have already set up. Let's say manage a lesson. The kind of business process. There are a lot of other business process which would have already created, but these are the remaining business process in this tenant which are not created related to learning. If I wanted to select this business process, drop in learning enrollment. This is the business process. And if I click on this, business process is created now. You are making it available. What is already there? What is already there? But we don't have option to create a new business process other than what Workday has provided. You need to pick from the list and make it available in your tenant. And if you have any kind of requirement to enhance this business process to add additional steps to the UC here, step A is there. You can add. By click on this button, you can add number of steps as per the requirement that you have. Drop enrollment is there. Once I'm a drop enrollment employees wanting to drop from the enrollment, we need to have some kind of restriction here. Only managers should be able to drop the enrollment and not, other than manager. No one should be able to drop the enrollment. And once the drop enrollment task is submitted, it has to go for manager. Kind of all this kind of enhancements will be doing at the BP level. That's how you typically access business process and you make it available to the users. Not users. How that particular functionality has to work, you'll define in the business process definition. You'll be adding steps, you'll be adding security. All these things you'll be performing in learning enrollment, business process task. That's how we typically access business process. Any question? No, I think we'll continue. Now what domains are we seeing? We have few domains, some managed medium. Let me give you a description on this demos. Managed media import, what does this domain does? When you grant this domain to your user, this domain will give you permissions to import media files into Workday. This domain will give you permissions to get external media files into Workday and bulk files. We can dump all those bulk media files into Workday Drive. All these things you'll be able to perform when you have access to this domain. If this domain is not assigned to your security group, you'll be not able to import any media files into Workday. Importing how? Through or no, you can also you can manually also. You can do, or let's say this will control both. Is it EIB as well as manual import of media? Even in EB, if you wanted to perform an EIB, that media file has to sit in Workday. Let's say if you are a sexual harassment kind, of course you know that you're creating and you have a kind of video file. Now you want it to trying to load that through EIB. What you'll be doing will be, there is a EIB specific template. Managed course template is there. You'll be giving all the course information and all. And when you try to send this information to work, they will ask you, you're giving all the information, but where is the media file? You set the digital course and where is the media file? You can't, attach the media file to the EIB template. What you need to do, before loading an EIB course into Workday, you need to get that media file into Workday. Sexual harassment media file into Workday. Obviously you'll do. Yesterday I was saying there is a drive, something called drive. This channel does not have that. Here you'll be having drive. You'll be having here. Drive is nothing but which allows you to load to get external data and store in Workday. And from drive, when you're creating an EIB, anything, once you load in Workday a reference, ID will be created. Once your media file is loaded into drive, a reference ID will be created for that one. Let's say sexual harassment. This Chrome file you have dumped into drive and a reference ID will automatically get created when that media file is inserted into Workday, and that reference ID will attach in EIB template. When you're dumping the Workday, all the course information that you have given will be relating to that reference ID where that media file is attached, and that course will be created with that media file. And when employee access that particular course, will be able to access that video file, which is nothing but a kind of media file based on the reference ID that you have given in the EIB template. Now I have a question here on the drive. This drive is user specific drive, or is it common for Workday Learning? If I load something in my drive, is it automatically available for everyone? You have an option. You loaded some documents there, and if you wanted to share to any of the user in your team or anyone in your organization, you'll be having a share access kind of option there. Let me see if any of the only if you share it will be available for someone else. Is it? Or else, no one can see that one unless you share user specific drive, then until then. It's like our OneDrive. Yes, exactly. I can say similar to OneDrive. I can say you can relate it to that. Even your sharing, it will be asking you if you wanted to give only view access or modify access kind of things. Also, it will be asking if I have loaded something on my drive, and if I will, I be able to attach that to a course, digital course. Yes, you can. But they're in course. But if I attach that media which is there in my drive into a digital course, and if I'm not shared, then user will not be any. User will not be able to see that course content. No. That is not the thing. Drive is nothing, but which only shares the files from drive. If you wanted to share that media file, or when you share that media file, that file will be available in that particular employee drive. Let's say PDF file. For example, I'm saying PDF file, course content. Let's say, for example, for any digital course, the PDF file that needs to be attached, which is nothing but the kind of media file. You've dumped into your media, you're dumped into your drive, and probably, sometime tomorrow you're going on vacation, and those needs to be imported as a course into Workday. What you'll be doing is you'll be telling your team member, hey, I'm not able to create course because I'm going on vacation from tomorrow. I'll be sharing those media files, which are sitting in my drive, that you can access those media files and you can create course extracting those media files which are sitting in file. When your team member, creates a course with that media file, a course will be created. Course is nothing but which will be available for learners. Learners should be able to access that course and view that media. There is no restriction, and once you create a course, you cannot restrict. Anyone you know, as a learner, you should be able to view that course that you have created. But Drive files is restricted only Drive. Whoever you provide access, they'll be able to view that, or download or modify based on access that you provide, they'll be able to. But once you attach that media file to course, it is open now. Any learner can view that course with that media file. I can reference my media which is in my drive into a course, or is it? I have to upload again to a course manually. When you're creating, let me show. And is there a limit of the size of the media which every person should have is like 5 GB? Something like that. I don't know. Drive, you mean say in Drive Home, what is the storage of Drive? Is that? There is no limit. There is no limit you can have. We're creating course. Obviously, if you wanted to have media files, you'll be creating this still course. And I will be creating in detail. I'm just showing an example. If you come down here, we're creating media. And here we are selecting this thing. There has to be an option called Drive, also Drive on my computer. Options will be there. If you select Drive, that will be directing to your drive. The Drive domain is not configured here. Drive domain. There is a domain called Drive that is not enabled for this tenant. That is the reason why you're not seeing the Drive. Generally, Drive will be having. In this list, you'll be also seeing Drive. And when you're trying to import media, file system will ask you from Drive or from your local computer. It will ask you. Now it is directing to local computer, but in general there will be a kind of Drive also. When you select Drive, it will be directing to your Drive and shows you the list of files that are available in your Drive. Once you submit this, one course will be created. And now that course is open for all the learners, and they'll be able to view the course and play the video with the media file that you have attached. Do you have any questions? I was talking about these domains. We'll just try to know. Media import. This will give you access. All these things that I was explaining you. Getting the media files into Drive and the sharing that to a team member within Drive. Well, if you are granted with managed media import domain, you will be able to perform those actions. If this domain is not available for you, then you'll be not able to import that media file into domain. Media reporting. Media reporting provides you permission to access media tracking data. If you wanted to track the list of media files that are available in Workday and what is the reference of that media file, and to access that, to track the data, to track all the media content that is sitting in Workday. This domain will give you option to create that particular report and track the media files that are available in Workday. Media reporting is a kind of domain that will give you permissions to track the media files. And manage media advanced. This is a kind of domain which will give you advanced permissions to access advanced media features like a scoring on video interactions. Let's say if there is any scroll file in on some video, interaction is going on and suddenly there will be a question where you need to answer that question and submit that one. All those are kind of advanced features on media files. If you can tell this domain managed media advanced domain, you should be able to perform all those actions to that advanced media files. If you don't have this domain attached, it will not be able to perform those kinds of actions. And learning core. Learning core is a kind of important domain when you create a learning. What is that? What is that? Looks like this tenant has not been set up. I think that even a lot of tasks are not available to a lot of security also not available. But these are basic kind of information that every tenant will have some, trying to get you that information. And probably I think they were saying yesterday, we are working on getting new tenant. This tenant is not kind of content, does not consist of content. Even they accepted and probably they're looking for alternate options. They'll be getting new tenant as soon as possible. These are one of the learning core domain which provide access to learning related data in Workday. You can see here this domain provide access to learning self-service tasks. Workers with access to this domain can search learning catalog, view course information, set the learning preferences, complete learning surveys, and view their progress in programs, courses, and lessons. If you grant this learning access to any of the user, they should be able to perform all this task listed here. They should be able to, view the course, take the training, and they don't go to their computer survey. All these actions they'll be able to perform with this domain, and this domain will be sitting in the functional area called learning core. Learning core related functional area will be having access to all learning domains. All learning domains will be sitting in learning core functional area. We have to enable the learning core first. You need, while you are implementing, personally you'll be enabling all the domains that are available related learning. Then you'll be setting the security for that particular domain. Who has to access what all this kind of information business will be giving the kind of information. These are the learning administrators should be able to access these things, and the manager should be able to access this, and the managers should be able to access this. HR should have this access. All this information your business will be giving, and based on that, you'll be setting up the security. And at personal campaigns. At personal campaigns is nothing but where you'll control to campaigns. That allows you to manage your campaigns, create campaign, edit campaigns, schedule campaign, all these things. And we will be having access when the domain is assigned, administer campaigns and of domain is assigned to you. The domain. To create any kind of campaign or 8, the campaign schedule, the campaign, all the related information to campaign to access. All these things will be provided with administer campaign to mine. Once you have access to this domain, it should be able to perform these things. How you will be assigning the security group to the minus. Once you have the domain, you go here, edit security policy permissions. Click on that one. When we come down, we'll be having list of security here. If you order to give security, to access that particular task, to access campaign, what you'll be doing, you'll be giving that particular sector learning administrator. Here you'll be controlling HRA administrator. You'll be giving access to HRA administrator for this domain. What is this domain? Campaign. What is sorry? In this one, you have securable light actions. What are these securable reporting items? This domain is if you go to the list, these are the tasks related to camping. What are the items that are available? When you give access to an HIA administrator, get access to this administer campaign, all these tasks should be able to perform campaign, create audience, all these things or subtasks. I can say when create a campaign, who must be audience. Audience is nothing but people who needs to be part of that campaign. Let's say new hires are kind of audience. In order to have an audience, you need to create audience. All those tasks. When you grant access to this domain, you'll be able to perform all those activities. Those are called securable items, securable report items. What are the report I inserted that will be holding those details? If you click on it, it will be able to see all the reporting related attributes. When you're creating reports, if you wanted to have a kind of a campaign information to report when this domain is assigned to you, then only you'll be able to access all this information in reporting. All the fields, 86 fields that are associated with campaign. With the security permission that you will be giving, you'll be getting access to control the data or view the data through reporting. Domain will be selecting the security group. And if you're giving view checkbox, we're selecting only view checkbox. It means that you're only giving view of the information to that domain. Only campaigns to HR administrator. If you're assigning HR administrator can just view that campaign but not edit or make changes to the campaign. But if you're giving a modify that you'll be providing the full permissions to that security group to manage, edit, modify and view that information based on the domain. Once you click on action is submitted, and then you need to take one more action in order to become your changes to be effective in the tenant. What you need to do is activate those changes. Click on activate security policy. You need to go to this task. Unless you activate your security, changes will not be effective. But how would you know now? Click on, you'll be getting now. And you can only give, for example, the domain you're giving. What was the task for where you gave security group for a domain? You need to get into that particular domain and give the security. I'll show you after this. Since then, I'm activating whatever domain that I've activated that has come here. If I click on confirm, the security changes that I have made will become effective. Without doing this, it will not be your security. Changes will not become effective. Now you're asking how to assign the security group. We have to go to that domain first. What if I want to give a domain? Is it the security group? Also, is it standard provided by Workday or is it a customer? You can create. Now we know we were trying to find the learning administrator. No, we are not finding learning and research, which means that learning administrator security group is not there in this tenant. You probably need to create that one. We'll create all the security groups also. See if I'm trying to give access to learning administrator. I'm not getting because the learning administrator is not available in this tenant. Basically, you know every model. Whenever you're implementing, you'll be creating all the user-based security group like learning administrator, recruiting administrator, compensation administrator, payroll administrator. All these user-based security groups you'll be creating first. And you know those are kind of super users where you will be creating the complete permissions to that. This is how we provide security to that particular security group. We'll see how we can create a security group. Probably we'll see different session. This is how we know you access domains and provide security to that particular domain. Once they provide security to that domain, what will you have to do? You have to activate that security policy in order to become that security changes. If I want to see what all access HR admin has, what do you need to do? Is you need to go to that particular security group. Just if I want to see what all security groups are there, then first question. If you wanted to see what are the access, what access that HR administrator have will be. If you get into security, it will be finding all these things. These are all there are around. These are all the domains that are attached to that security group. If you wanted to view the list of security groups that are available, there are two ways. One is there is a task called view security group, or you can create a report. You know to use security groups. Can we create custom tasks? Custom tasks in a sense custom security group. No custom task. No, these are these tasks, searchable tasks. No, you will be not able to create. We say is there. Once again in this space, view security group is there. If you know any name of the security group, you can name the security group here. That will be coming up here. Or if you wanted to know by type, you can select the type of the security group from there. If you wanted an application security group, you can go into this list. It will be finding related security groups. And if you wanted to know, type of intersection security group, it will be getting here. It will be finding related security groups. But if you know the name, you can just enter the name here. What? There are many tasks. View sec for sec view security group by user, something like that, and all is are there. Security. What are the differences? This task will allow you to view the security group. View sec for sec item. There is one more task where you'll provide, let's say, campaign. Campaign, you feel that you have all the access, but you don't know what kind of domains. You know that that needs to be attached for accessing campaigns and all in the scenario. What you'll be doing is you don't know what kind of permission that required to order in order to access campaigns. You don't have that information. What are you doing in the scenario? We'll be going with security for sec. You'll be giving campaign. Here we'll be getting all the tasks related to campaign. And if you go to create campaign related to campaign, is it? If you wanted to create, if you don't have access to campaign, you will be getting into the security view security. Obviously, you'll be directing to administer this thing. You'll be giving the security to that particular domain. If you get into this thing will be the kind of create campaign, the kind of VP task. Probably you need to provide security in that functional area. In this way, you'll be able to identify a task-based task. Not only view security for security, not only returns the task, everything related to campaign. It will be getting all the tasks, all the actions, all the domains related to campaigns. It will be getting, and we can select whichever tasks that you wanted associated with that particular security policy. Any questions? We have a view campaign or create campaign. When it is on views, what does it exactly show? The security. No. The security that you need to have for editing the campaign. It will be security. If you are not having that particular edit campaign task, you'll be getting into the security, and probably you need to have this business process security. This business process security access you need to have in order to access that editor campaign security. In order to access this one, go to here campaign event business process. Here you need to provide the required security. This is business process security. You said there are two. This is a business process security policy. Whatever you asked us, security is for security item, that's security. But security for security item lets you know what security that you need to have for particular tasks that you're trying. I didn't get into details of business process. I just shown you. You know the definition of a business process, but I've not shown you how to, as how would I have shown you domains, and I've not shown you a business process. But since you were asking what does we do with the security for security item, I'm trying to show you how you can, get the information that you does not have access in the tenant. Through view security for security item, you'll be able to understand what kind of security that needs to be associated for that particular task that you are missing to access. Not clear for me. Let's say probably security for security item. Is that a kind of different tasks? We'll just go in sequence. Now we are mixing up here, wherever you're getting confused. As long as we are covering something, then it is with me. I don't know whether these are not part of the learning. These are general security discussions. Probably we'll have one more discussion. You know, that gives you a complete idea on security for security. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.